Welcome to JW Night Talk. So I hope your guys are all going to tune into the program here. And tonight we have a really good program. So just to take a look at some of the things we have in store here, we have some information on farming. We're going to talk about farming to start this whole program off. And we will tie farming into the Bible. So we will look at a few scriptures relating to farming, and then we will take a look at 1 Corinthians 3, 1 to 23, and we'll take a look at that in the JW Org Study Edition. And then we're going to talk about clearing things out, how to clean a farm up, and really is that what God's doing. Now, about there, it'll be about mid-program, and we're going to talk about the Survivor series, and we're going to talk about what's the difference between a survivor, what's the difference between a victim, and we'll cover that off. We have a song posted in the descriptions of the video here. It's from Destiny's Child. It's called Survivor. I can't play it, but when we get to it, I'll get you to play it off your own smart device, and we'll go over a few of the lyrics. So we'll look at that, being a JW cult survivor, some articles, and ex-Jehovah's Witness reveals secrets of religious group. We might get time to cover that, and JW cult survivor again. So now the next part of the program here, we had some of the ones online asking if we, I got to go to the live stream here, live chat, and see if anybody's online yet. No one's online yet, right? So now some of the subscribers were wondering if, we could change our music up on our show and do different kinds of musics and dances. And unfortunately, sometimes it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So, I tried myself to do some of the Spanish type dancing that some of the people were asking for online. And I found that it was a little bit cumbersome for me. I was just trying to do this kind of a thing, but it doesn't work. So I'm going to sit here and see if I can coax my good wife to demo this, see how it works. Let me just see here. Yeah. Okay, so we changed our studio around a bit here. We had some lighting issues, and then I know a lot of you guys think that we're renting David Letterman's studio in New York. Well, I could just let you believe that, but in all reality, it's here on the farm, and I got a big window right here in front. Normally in the winter time, I just block that out with a green screen, and I have my studio. Where is that? My studio's over here. Yeah, and I can get kind of walk up and do things. But now we're getting springtime here. Snow's melting, and as you can see out the big window there, it looks, the water's clear. So anyways, we're going to enjoy ourselves here, and we're going to try a few different things. If you guys like certain types of music that you want us to try, put it in the comments, get involved in the chat. This is where we're listening, right here in the chat. When we talk about survivors and, wanting to come online, yeah, we have this open. You can zoom in, just email us, and you can get a link from my good wife. She'll let you know, and she'll set you up if you want to do a zoom in and tell your story. Now that's hard for some. I think it's hard for a lot of people to get up and tell their story to the world. And a lot of people are nervous. So we've even thought about setting up a private zoom in, and where we can cut and edit and really make it look proper and trim out things. Maybe we said something wrong and we're worried about doing that live. If this is the case, just put that in your email comments. and we'll certainly look at entertaining that. We had one guy that said he would come in, but only his voice, no face. But I think you guys control that. I think Zoom, you guys control all kinds of stuff, so that's really up to you. So we're here. We're set up as a medium now. To get it set up as a medium, I'm going to show you what it takes. We're going to go to. We're gonna bring you to our. We're going to close the studio here just for a moment, and I'm gonna open up. There we are. So now we got a screen capture here, and I'm just going to minimize this here just for a moment. But we're going to take a look here. And this is my home page. If you come to our home page, my good wife has been doing a lot of work on it, and you'll get me start talking.
Welcome to my channel. My name is Vern.
You can just silence that. You probably already heard that. It's just kind of a little introduction. Now, if you want to know more about us, me, you can go to the About and you can read all about me, us. Now, even in this little welcome video, you can read more. There's a lot of stuff in there I put in there. But what I want to show you here is what my good wife surprised me with tonight. And I didn't even really know they had this stuff. But you notice there's a store on here. So, we don't ask for donations or anything on our channel. And we actually shut down our Patreon account, and we decided that, this is a different kind of a community. It's not a community where you're going to have a million people online. And what we see every day happening is we gain subscribers, we lose a few, gain a few. And when we lose subscribers, you know what that tells us? That tells us that if we lose a subscriber, there's another survivor. If we lose a subscriber, there's another survivor. So that tells us that you no longer need the channels. You're a survivor. You moved on, and you no longer need the XJW channel. And we're going to see that. And I look at that in a positive way. And I also know that there's a lot of people that are online and not in, they're PMO, but they have family members that circle around them, and they have to unsubscribe, subscribe, and it's a little bit of a game sometimes. We recognize that. So this channel is not about getting a gazillion subscriptions and so forth, but we get a lot of watch time. And that's what we did notice, thousands of hours of watch time by non-subscribers. 70% of our watch time is non-subscribers. So what we want to show everyone is just come. You don't have to be a subscriber. YouTube's making this so easy. And you come into the store, you just click on store, and let's see if this all works. Oh yeah, it does. So up comes all of these things that my good wife has done. You'll see it comes up with all these buttons and stickers and stuff like that, and bags, and live your life with love. You can look at some of these. But what you have to really do to get into this store is just click on a item from Spreadshop. And that just seems to be the little thing. Once you get in here, yeah, I agree. And you're into the store, and it works right off your YouTube account. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, here's the thing. And my wife wanted to show you guys, because we just set this up, and YouTube does this as a promotional thing. Only 6 days left, and you get 15% off the shop. You redeem it right here. And that's a YouTube thing. That's how they do all this. And they kind of control a lot of it, but we get to do our own artwork, and of course we love that. This is some of the artwork here that you'll see on mugs, t-shirts. There's different things. Now, there's more products here. You have, if we want to look at a t-shirt, women's t-shirt here, for instance, here it is. Anybody can really, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, until next time, live your life with love. Like, nothing wrong with that. Anybody can wear that kind of a shirt. Now I'm going to show you a couple other things. You can try different colors on. You can do different shirts. Let's say you want a red shirt. You can get it on a red shirt. You can get it on a black shirt. See what it looks like. So we want to go to what other? All products? Let's go to all products. So there's t-shirts, bags. There's even some Gone with the Grid stuff. That's kind of cool. I didn't know you got that on there. Now, Laugh and Love. Another Gone with the Grit t-shirts. Now, there was other t-shirts I had about the Watchtower. I don't know, they might not be as popular. Oh yeah, here's some. Apostate Established 2022. You know, on a shirt, anything. You can go to different shirts. Those are neat. Here's one. Be your own light. You know, this is mine. Apostate Established 2022. So what else do we have? There's a few things here. I wanted to show you the one, My Truth. You know, be a kind human. You can get this on mugs, t-shirts, stickers. Oh yeah, here's the one that I thought I was proud of. Need I say more? They reap what they sow. You know. Maybe you want more of a, I don't know, not a loving T-shirt, but maybe you're out of the organization and you're kind of pissed off still. Well, here's a shirt for you. You can get it in different colors. So, anyways, I'm pretty proud of my wife, but. Only 6 days left, get 15% off, and all the proceeds goes to my good wife, and maybe we can get some lights. But you know what, guys? If you want to donate, we've got a few donations. I really appreciate anything you can do in donating online. I didn't actually know they could do that, but that's kind of cool. But you know, the best donation you could do is go down to your local food bank and give them a couple of bucks. Give them $5, whatever you can afford. Help some people. That's what Jesus did. That's the best donation. And you can help us by buying a t-shirt, buying a mug, going through our store. That's how you can really help us. And it's good quality stuff. Most of this stuff, you can check where it comes from, but it's good quality vendors. YouTube, they don't play around. Now, we're going to move on in the program here. And I'm not sure, you just close the store at the X, I guess. Yep. And go back. And go back and go back and go back. You can probably just keep going back out of it. There, I'll just close it. There, I'm out of it. I'll close it here too. So now we're going to talk about farming. How many know anything about farming? Who's a farmer out there? Who ever lived on a farm? The Bible talks about farming. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about farming today, just for a bit here until people come online, and then we'll get chatting a little bit more here. But it's early on in the program, and I thought we could talk a bit about farming, and I'll show you a little bit where I came from. So this is a picture of a farmer spraying. You'll find with most big farms today, they spray, they do different things. Now here's a picture of a farm that perhaps where we lived, these were big farms. They had bigger tractors than this, but this is a certain type of farm. And this here, this is not what I used to work on as a farm, but this looks like it's almost bushes of some sort, berries, not sure. But there's farming, it's huge. There's so many different levels to farming and different types of farming. Now, when we think of tractors and stuff, we think of plows and these green tractors. These were the tractors I grew up with, and they're way bigger today. So here's a picture of one of these tractors, and it's pulling a 16-bottom plow. Now, if you've never farmed before, there's a difference between a plow and these vibrishanks. These vibrishanks just scratch the surface of the land, and they just scratch the stubble. And that's what they do today. We're going to talk about that. They no longer plow. In fact, we had a plow that was on our farm, and it got just rusted and sat at the back of the farm. We never used it. People don't plow anymore. But in my grandfather's day, they used to plow. And when we look at the Bible, we're going to look at that in a bit, it talks about plowing. So here's how I used to plow. I used to run this kind of a tractor when I was 14. And here's
Hi, Big Tractor Power fans. The Steiger name has been revered in articulated four-wheel drive production history for over 6 decades. The first Steiger tractor was manufactured by Douglas and Maurice Steiger near Red Lake Falls, Minnesota during the winter of 1957. This video will share with you the 6 generations of tractor designs that were available from Steiger from 1963 through 1986. These were the lime green built tractors. You will see one example of the tractor's design from each series of tractor built during this 23-year time period.
No, that's all I'm going to play. But our Steiger was a 1983 Steiger, and it was, I forget the name of it, but it was a big one, 325 horsepower. I think this one in the picture was a little bigger. But it's interesting that Steiger, it's a U.S. company, and the Steiger's built out of all truck parts. And that's what my dad liked about the Steigers, is any of the universals, the axles, you could go downtown and any of the big truck places, it was all interchangeable parts. And then Steiger was smart. You know, they put cat motors. The one that we bought had a cat motor in it. Well, cat motors were so common all over the place that all the mechanics know how to fix a cat motor. In fact, my brother's a mechanic, and he walked me through it on the phone, how to change the injectors, with a buddy. We're not mechanics. Most farmers aren't, but they learn a little bit, and they learn quick. But the Steiger, you can fix. Anybody can fix it. Where now all these new John Deeres, you cannot fix it. In fact, there's lawsuits against John Deere for non-fixable things. So this is the world we live in. It's changed. It's changed from being fixable to repairable to very specialized. And now we live in a world where you need special people to work on these machines. Why? They're all becoming robots. All these tractors are GPS. In the day that I was a kid running these tractors, you fall asleep. You plow the fence down, and the next thing you know, you're in the neighbor's field when you wake up. Of course, the fence kind of wakes you up when you hit it. And did that happen to me? Well, I nearly did it, but I pulled out part of the fence because the big cultivators, they swing. And I was just 14. I fell asleep. I was going for a whole mile and a half. You're supposed to go straight. And if you look back, well, then you make a crooked furrow, and I could never get it straight. So, but anyways, what more can you expect from a kid? And in them days, parents had to use their kids. But we're gonna tie this in with Jesus, and Jesus would use he used the plow as a illustration here in Luke. And in Luke 9:62, Jesus says to him, "No one who puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God." So what do you think he means there? No one puts his hand to the plow and looks back is fit for the kingdom of God. Well, these are old kind of sayings, like if you're plowing, and I'm going to show you another picture of a plow right here. See if it pulled up. This picture seemed to take forever to pull up. Here it is. The science and art of plowing. So here it is. And this is the days of my grandfather. That's how they used to plow. My dad, in fact, used to have to plow like this. So so plowing goes way back, but in biblical times, everyone, they plowed. But if you look back, your furrow's crooked because the horses, your hands move and the reins, or on the steering wheel of the tractor, it always moves. If you look, it moves. You look, your arm moves. You look back, and that's always a zigzag. So you try when you're plowing or making a furrow, you eye up to the end. You fix your eye on your prize. You fix your eye on the fence. And Jehovah's Witnesses used to use this, fix your eye on the prize. And, it goes back to the old farming days. You fix your eye on a point and you just follow it. And you trust that your depth is good. You can look down, your depth is good, but you're always looking, and you're watching your animals. You're watching your tractor. And you do listen, when you're farming, you listen. If you hit a rock and something breaks, you can actually hear the tractor tug, if you hit some clay. So there's a lot of knowledge a farmer gets from farming. So Jesus says, don't look back. So this is one of the first steps to healing as a victim. And as a victim, we keep looking back. We keep looking back. Well, what if? What if I want to go back? They won't let me back in. Now I'm online and I'm doing they won't let me back in. You see, we keep looking back. And then we look back and we look at all our problems, and we're always looking back. We can't change today. We can't go back and redo things. Maybe we wanted to stay in. Well, no, we wanted to stay in, but we want the association, but we know it's baloney. We don't really want to stay in, but we didn't want to get kicked out. That's kind of how it is. So Jesus says, don't worry. He says, don't look back. Don't even look back. He says, just look straight ahead. Look at your prize. So here it is, folks. This is what we're going to talk about, is a prize. What are you fixing your eyes on? And this is how we move forward. We need something to fix our eyes on. And in some of our last videos, we talked about beliefs and how everyone seems to need a belief. We were created, it seems, to want to believe in something. Some people, we talked about all the cults, the alien cults, there's just so many cults. I think we looked at 36 different cults, but there's something like 10,000 cults in the world. So, but everyone wants to believe in something. So what are they believing in? You see, in the Jehovah's Witness religion, we were taught to fix our eyes on the prize. What was the prize? The news system. We're living in a spiritual paradise. And these are all words that are made up. They're not in the Bible. The Bible doesn't talk about this news system or the spiritual paradise on earth. It doesn't talk about that. So these are made up things. These are little terms. They seem to fit in. It seems to make sense, when we're in it. But once you get out, you realize that these were all control items to control people. Now, does the governing body today know that? I don't think so. I think they're being controlled by the doctrine set up by Rutherford. And then Nora threw in a few extras. And that's kind of, and the governing body kind of changes things here and there as they want. They are today changing how they're looking at military service, it looks like. We just dropped a video on that. Now, so Jesus says don't look back. That's the first step. The stuff back there, we can't change it. It's back there. Don't look back. Don't keep looking on it. Or we're going to have a very crooked furrow. We keep looking back, and then we might go off the road. I don't know. But our life might not be as straight as we want it to be. It might not be what we want it to be. So Paul said to the Philippians, brothers, I do not consider that I have made it my own, but one thing I do, forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead. So Paul says that in a couple of places. We go on, there's a lot of scriptures we can go to that talk about that. Now we're going to move on here. Field. The Bible often talks about a field, and that the earth is like a field, right? So in Matthew 6:28, Jesus says, and why are you anxious about clothing? He says, consider the lilies of the field, how they grow, neither they toil nor they spin. So, Jesus got us looking around and realizing that earth seems to look after itself if we really let it, I guess, is what I get out of that scripture. You might get something different, but he says, why are we anxious? Sometimes, like, we're not going to add a cubit, he says, somewhere it says that, to our life by being anxious. So anxious, sometimes it just makes everyone else anxious. You remember Jesus says you reap what you sow? And it says that in a couple of places. Do not mock God. He says, because you reap what you sow. Paul repeated that like a puppet all the way through his books. but we reap what we sow. It sounds to me like the law of attraction, or if you throw something up, it comes down. It's just like gravity. We reap what we sow. And where does that come from? It comes from farming. And you see, Jesus used so many illustrations dealing with what the people knew in that day. He talked about plowing. He talks about you reap what you sow. So if you sow wheat, you hope you're going to get wheat and not weeds. And he goes on and talks about a stranger coming and sowing weeds in there, in amongst your wheat. And how do you clean your field? Well, we're going to talk about that just in a little bit, how they clean the fields today. And I'm going to go right back here. No. Yeah. Here's how they do it today: sprays and pesticides and chemicals. Now, we lived where we lived. We were in the midst of a Hutterite colony. They had a lot of land, and they used a lot of pesticides, and so did all the other farmers. The Dutchmans were out there across the road as well. They all used pesticides. They all seemed to have the same training, and I even attended some of these agricultural training where they train the farmers on what to use and how to monitor their land. And so the big thing they're doing now in the world, where I come from, I'm going to see if I pulled a picture up. Where are we? Right there. Right here. They call it, right here, no-till farming. They no longer till the soil. They don't put a plow to the soil any longer. And it shows how farmers are saving the soil by parking their plows. So it says here, the age-old practice of turning the soil before planting a new crop is the leading cause of farmland degradation. Many farmers are thus looking to make plowing a thing of the past. So what we see happening is they're no longer plowing. And what's happening is in the olden days where they used to plow, the windstorms would come in and blow all the topsoil away. So you would lose your soil. And that happened through the dirty 30s, they called it. All the Saskatchewan and all the Midwestern farmers in the U.S., southern Alberta, they lost all their topsoil because of these windstorms, and farmers had to walk off their land. It just turned into deserts. Finally came back and they found water below when they drilled really deep. That's where there's aqueducts below the Midwest. So there's a lot of interesting stuff going on. Now, this no-till brings other problems, and I'm going to show you some of the other problems that come with no-tilling. Now, let's talk about gophers. Now, if you're grazing cattle, these are a pest, these gophers. How do you get rid of gophers? Well, you can go out there with a 22 and your dog. You can pour water down holes. Like farmers try all kinds of things to get rid of these gophers, right? The food source is important. Gophers need to eat, and they'll set up shop anywhere they can to find its food sources. Gophers are herbivores. Do you know what a herbivore is? Well, of course you do. They just eat vegetation. That's what it says there. So they love the roots and the tubers of plants, the seeded acorns, but sometimes they resort to grazing the lawn for grass, clover, and other snacks. So that's what they like. They like the vegetation. And when you're not tilling and stuff and you're leaving your land, it's get a lot of gophers in there. And then what happens is cattle, if you're grazing it with cattle, they get their hooves stuck in there and they break their ankles. And it can cause all kinds of problems. Horses, you don't want to run a horse if there's a bunch of gophers. You kill yourself, fall off the horse. Now, what happens if you have mounds of ants? And this is a problem. Sometimes we're not, remember, no tilling. We quit tilling because it saves on fuel as well. But they use lots of sprays, and that's how they deal with everything. So the editor, they talk about ants and, how the ants attacks trees and so forth. There's different types of ants. And the ones that we have here, they're mound ants, and they get great big mounds, and there's about 250,000 ants in those mounds. Right here it talks about it. A 19-inch high mound may contain 250,000 little ants. And the ants feed on other insects for protein and aphid honeydew for sugar. And ants can kill any vegetation that grows on the mound or shade the area. And the ants do this by biting the plant and depositing formic acid into the wound. And this really readily kills the small plants. So how do you control ants? Well, option one is eliminate its food. And it says, since this ant relies on other insects for food, controls and aphids, scales, blah, blah, blah. Well, you got to eliminate its food, right? And what is it? Where does the food come from? No-till, all the grass, it's all there. So then we go to, well, what's another problem? How to get rid of moles in your yard. So we got moles in our grounds, right? And we had that here and in this farm. And we came, my wife and I sold the other farm by the Hutterites. We came here. We've been here for 4 years. And when we got here, it was all moles. It was all ant mounds all over the place. It was unusable. The land was all just overgrown. And that's what happens when land just gets left. So it says moles, well, some people think they look cute. They can cause severe damage to your lawn and your landscape. And also they make big holes. You know, that's not good for horses and things. If you want to reclaim your yard, the only solution is to learn how to get rid of moles. And so it goes on to talk about it. So moles are digging rodents. You can identify their damage by looking for signs like dead grass, molehills, far apart mounds. You know, you look up here. I don't know, does it show it? No, not there. But it might show it down here. I was seeing another. Oh, there it is. There's all the molehills. That's what it looks like. Just a mess. That's what our lawn looked like. So how do you get rid of these little guys? They're hard to get rid of. They're very hard to get rid of. My wife tried all kinds of things. Coffee grounds she used. So you know, these are all the things. So what attacks your molds, or what attracts molds to your yard? Well, sometimes they're good for these other bugs. You know, there's a little bit of a balancing factor going on. How to get rid of them? Well, the number one thing again is to eliminate their food source, and their food source comes from vegetation. So folks, in today's world, this is what we do. We spray pesticides, and this is how they're trying to combat it. We have a world full of chemicals, and the chemical bills of a farm is just enormous. And these farmers figure they're trapped into this because of this new methodology. Now, my grandfather, he firmly believed that you plow your fields at least every 7 years. And I don't know about the 7. What's with 7? You know, the Bible always talks about 7, but everything seems to be around the 7. But he said every 7 years. And they'd never do the whole thing at once. You'd have little sections. You'd plow this one you're always plowing each year, but you're always summer following too. And they'd summer follow. And you'd never have erosion if you're just doing strips. And then you have grass and strips. That's how you combat erosion. Then don't knock all your trees down. You know, plant trees around your land. Farmers are greedy. They don't like trees around their land because they shade they don't get the same produce. But now then we have erosion. So, you know, take your pick. But they seem to be picking pesticides. Now, if they want to solve the ants, the gophers, and the moles that roll into these places, you simply plow your land. When you plow your land, you turn over all the soil, you get rid of everything that everything's living off of, and everything just moves out. And then it's like a reset. Every 7 years, you're resetting your land. So this is, when we think of the Bible, it talks about sevens in a reset fashion. And it talks about working the soil, plowing the land. It would seem fitting that God's going to come in and do something similar. Now, I had another video, or fire, yeah. And I think it got deleted here. Let's see if it's here. There it is. Now, this is another way that where we lived, open agricultural burning. So if you're not tilling your land, if you're not plowing, you see, if you plowed, you'd plow all that fiber underneath your ground, and it would rot, and it'd be fertilizer. The next 2-3 years, you'd have bumper crops. That's what plowing does. It digs up old soil that's fermented and turned back into dirt, and it's like fertilizer. Plowing is actually good if it's done properly. So what are they doing now? Well, they're burning. And where we lived, well, hate to say it, but the Hutterites were the worst ones. They'd burn without permits. They would burn because we lived so far away from the fire department. They'd just burn when they wanted to burn in the wind. We had the wind blowing right at our house one day. We phoned the fire department. I think they got permits after that. But anyways, yeah, farmers in many parts of the world set fire to cultivated fields to clear stubble, weeds, and waste before sowing a new crop. So there is some practicality to this. Ash, potash, ash is good for the soil as well. But farmers can get so much ash up here for free. So it says, while this practice may be fast and economical, it is highly unsustainable as it produces large amounts of the particle pollutant, black carbon, and reduces the fertility of the soil. So there you go. It burns off topsoil. Many farmers are well aware of the consequences of open burning, but lack the tools and knowledge to adopt alternative practices. The Climate and Clean Air Coalition Agriculture Initiative supports regional networks and projects that facilitate the adoption of open burning alternatives. So where we lived, they were burning, and my wife and I, we started well, they were burning peat moss, and the stuff would smolder all year around, and we'd have like potash, carbon right on our vehicles the next day. And we'd be breathing all this in, and you'd have to go to the doctor, get an inhaler to get your lungs clear. So we complained, and here we are in Canada. We're supposed to be clean air. We're clean people. It's not. They're burning. They're still doing this to this day. So, but I'm glad to see that they're talking about it as not a good thing. Plowing, again, is a lot better. You're not wrecking your topsoil. And if you have too much topsoil, well, then it should be scraped off and given to someone that has no topsoil. And this is what we were telling the farmers where we lived. So, yeah, so that's another way. But plowing, we don't have that issue. So we're going to go back to the scriptures. Jesus said, no one puts his hand to the plow and looks back. That is fit for the kingdom. So the idea of healing is to plow. We want to turn over the soil. It's like a reset. So as we're moving forward, we're turning things over. We take our experiences and we're burying it, like we're done with it, and we're focusing on something new. So that's one of the first things. Find something new. Maybe if you need belief, find a new group of people. Maybe you're finding it right here on the internet. And you know that more and more, we did that article about New Yorkers. It says 71% of New Yorkers in the New York State, based on a recent survey, do not attend church. 71%. And yet 30% of their land is allocated as tax-free to churches, religious groups. So this is becoming a big problem on earth. And but yet Jesus here, he's asking us to do certain things. So how do we do these things unless we go to church? Well, we don't have to, because right now we have the internet, and the internet is like putting church in your lap. And no longer do you have to start a vehicle, burn gas to go to the Kingdom Hall. You no longer have the threats of some crazy guy coming in and shooting everyone up because some elder shot his mouth off in some judicial meeting at someone. Because this happens. These elders think that they're like mini gods. But I think now with everything that's happening, I think people are nervous, and they should be. So now we're not going to focus on that. We're going to focus on the field. So Jesus says, he says in Matthew 6:25, he says, therefore I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you'll put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? So, this is the same illustration from Matthew 6:28, and it goes all along. It gives the illustration about the clothing, the lilies of the field. So, if we're online talking on the internet, it means that we've had all these things provided for us. If we're not online, maybe we're struggling, and there's a lot of us that are struggling. And we're living in a time where there is going to be struggles. Now, it goes on to say in Proverbs, whoever is slack in his work is a brother to him who destroys. So it does. The Bible talks about work. We have to work to make a living. And it says, in all toil there is a profit, but mere talk tends only to poverty. So we have to do more than talk about it. We have to actually get up and go and work. So we do have that responsibility. Now, that's not what this is about. This talk is not about that. It's about surviving and not being anxious about things. So sometimes when we leave the Kingdom Hall, we're anxious. We're anxious about what we left behind. We can't change it, but it does build anxiety. And that's why focusing and moving forward leaves the anxiety behind, and we plow it under. We turn it under. We bury it. It's gone. But sometimes before we can bury it, we have to talk about it. And now we're going to move on to another part of the Bible. We're going to go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3, and we're talking about divisions in the church. And I have the English Standard Version. I read it in here. It says the same thing in the Jehovah's Witness Bible, and I do check both Bibles now. So we'll read it in the Jehovah's Witness Bible. It says it nicely. The first to the Corinthians 3. He says, "So brothers, I was not able to speak to you as to spiritual men, but as to fleshly men, as to infants in Christ. I fed you milk, not solid food, for you were not yet strong enough. In fact, neither are you strong enough now, for you are still fleshly. Since there are jealousy and strife among you, are you not fleshly, and are you not walking as men do? For when one says, I belong to Paul, but another says to Apollo, I belong to Apollos, are you not acting like mere men? What then is Apollos? Yes, what is Paul? Ministers, through whom you became believers, just as the Lord granted each one. I planted, Apollos watered, but God kept making it grow, so that neither is the one who plants anything, nor is the one who waters, but God who makes it grow. Now the one who plants and the one who waters are one, but each person will receive his own reward according to his own work. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, under cultivation, God's building." So there's one of the main points I wanted to take from here, folks, is you are God's field under cultivation. So when we think of a field, we think of how Jesus spoke, and he spoke about sowing and reaping and harvesting. We are God's field. And sometimes in that field, there's molehills, and there's ant mounds, and there's gopher holes, and the field's messy right now. And when we look at the world, it's a messy field. And we're zigzagging through all of these mounds. And this is all God's field. But it goes on to really bring this home, to say, no, we are God's field. Let's carry on here. He says, you are God's field under cultivation. So we are, not the earth. So the JW thing is we're always looking out. But here it's getting us to look in. And I think that's a big part of healing. At least it was for me. When I started to wake up and realize all of these things, I was angry at first. I felt deceived. So I realized that I had to go inside and get some help. So I did that, and that's what it is. We inside are God's field, and we're continually cultivating. So that's what we're doing when we go online, and perhaps you might do what I do on Sundays. Every second Sunday I look forward to. There's two guys there. There's Jay Hess. He's the older guy, and that guy was a writer from Watchtower. He was actually in the writing committee, and he woke up and he has a lot of good things to say. But he got back into religion. He's in another religion. And then Scott, he's a disciple of Yahweh in Christ. So those two guys, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and I like listening to the ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, these types of people, because these guys are not pushy at all. And they really know their stuff. And they bring about a different angle. So there's a way of, learning, cultivating. We're God's field under cultivation. So we have to cultivate ourselves. We have to get inside our minds and cultivate things, work it up. Some people call that critical thinking. I know the Watchtower doesn't like that, but that's what it is. You got to plow it. You got to get inside there and just plow things up. So let's carry on. Verse 10, it says, according to the undeserved kindness of God that was given to me, I laid a foundation as a skilled master builder, but someone else is building on it. But let each one keep watching how he is building on it. For no one can lay any other foundation than what is laid, which is Jesus Christ. So there's a key thing. If the foundation in all of us, and even through the Watchtower and any of these cult religions, the Mormons, the Seventh-day Adventists, we're going to learn about Jesus. We're going to learn some of these basic things about Jesus, hopefully. And that's where our foundation is. And in verse 12 it says, now if anyone builds on foundation of gold, silver, precious stone, wood, hay, or straw, each one's work will be shown for what it is. For the day will show it up, because it will be revealed by means of fire. And the fire itself will prove what sort of work each one has built. And if anyone's work that he has built on it remains, he will receive a reward. And if anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, but he himself will be saved. Yet, if so, it will be as through fire. So he's saying as if so, it will be as if through fire. So we think of the stubble and the farmers burning off that top layer of grass and stubble from the previous harvest. Fire is very destructive. In some parts of Canada, here in BC, in the mountains, some fires have went through and devastated whole communities. Now, in verse 16, it says, do you not know that you yourselves are God's temple, and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? So I thought that was a key point. Like, we're God's temple, not the Watchtower, not the governing body. We as individuals are God's temple. God works through us. If anyone destroys the temple of God, God will destroy him. For the temple of God is holy, and you are that temple. So if you came out of the Watchtower, you are God's temple. And the warning to the Watchtowers, if anybody destroys you, there's a warning to the Watchtower for the infliction that they put upon you. But sometimes if that's all we think about it, we stay in this victim mode, and that's all we think about. So we have to move out of that. But we move out of that by focusing and looking straight ahead and lining something up. Maybe we want to get into a group of people on Facebook and talk a little bit and share our experiences. If you want to come in online here and share your experience, that can help. If you want to do it live, we can do it live. We can do it private. Really up to you. We want to help you. So the scriptures go on here. It says, let no one deceive himself. If anyone amongst you thinks he is wise in the system of things, let him be a fool, so that he may become wise. For if the wisdom of this world is foolish with God, for it is written, he catches the wise in their own cunning. And this is what's happening with the Watchtower. They're having to change their rules. They're now taking a second look at military service, like non-combatal service. And they're making an agreement with the Asians, the group of Asian people down in Korea. And so that's interesting. We're going to be keeping an eye on that. Now, again, Jehovah knows that the reasoning of the wise men are futile. So let no one boast in men. See that? Let no one boast in the governing body. The faithful slave, as they call them. No, don't boast in them. For all things belong to you, whether Paul or Apostle or Cephas or the world of life or death or things now, here, or things to come. All things belong to you. In turn, you belong to Christ. Christ, in turn, belongs to God. So we all work directly to Christ. Everyone, individually. We don't work through a governing body. The scriptures are clear. Where are we going from here? Well, this should help us to work ourselves out of the victim mode, because it's not about someone else doing the work for us. We answer to God straight. So we no longer have the governing body to fool us and think that they're the only way or the way. They're not even the way. They're not even a way. We all, including them, equally work to God. They're in a more precarious situation because they claim to be this special prophet type thing of God's faithful slave, whatever they want to call it. But that puts them in a very precarious situation. I wouldn't want to be there. So, but anyways, that's not what this show is about tonight. It's about being a survivor. So now we're part ways into the program here. I just wanted to see how many. We have a few people on live. I want to say hi to everyone out there. Appreciate you guys being on. So I thought before we started this part of the program, I'm going to put the studio back on here just for a minute. And we're going to put our topic back in. And we're going to put JW Night Talk back on. So I thought this would be a good part to maybe see if we could try that Spanish dance. We usually do it at the beginning of the show, but now we have a few people on. And I was going to check and see if maybe my good wife would come on. I don't know. She can really do it good. But the studio's kind of like where is it? Right here. Yeah, right here. See how my hand goes? That's where I changed it around so it looks like you're walking in there, but don't let that fool you. Here, I'll get the music going and we'll see what happens. Well, first of all, we got to get the band going in the background. There they are. You see them back there? The band. They're ready to go. We got them in the background. Now, what we're gonna do here? You guys ready? Okay. Well, didn't she do a fabulous job of that? I thought I couldn't have done that. So, the band back here, we just had them on a couple of shows here, and these guys are, they've been doing pretty good, I think. Well, those guys.
Well, like an eagle,
they show off a bit.
I'm not scared.
That's you guys. You guys are the Eagles.
To spread my wings.
Send us in the information.
Without a care.
So that's about it for the band tonight. We're gonna let them guys go. They can take a break, and we had a little dancing, a little fun here. But we invite all you guys to, anybody that wants to share their story, come online. You can. We've made that available here on this channel. And if you're a creator and you're under 1,000 subscribers and you want to come online, because it does take a lot of work to get there. But if you want to come on and maybe feature your show or your best video, just put it in the comments and we'll look at that. Send us an email. And we'll do whatever we can to help promote your channel. Last week, we took a look at one of the creators from Watchtower Admin, and he made that excellent little plastic man type video, and he's working on some Caleb and Sophie stuff right now, and he could use a few subscribers. It's nice if we can get our creators up to 1,000, because once they get up to 1,000, then they can start. YouTube pays a little bit, not much, but it covers your internet bill anyways. Once you get over 1,000, and after a while. So now, what do we have next on our program? We are looking at survivors, and so people often ask, what is the difference between a survivor and a victim? What's the difference? Anybody online? Anybody know the difference? What's the difference? How many online are survivors? How many are victims? Don't be afraid. It's part of the process. We become both. So here it is. Both terms have their place and serve different purposes. Victims and survivors. Although victim is a legal definition necessary within the criminal justice system, survivor can be used as a term of empowerment to convey that a person has started the healing process and may have gained a sense of peace in their life. So the victim in a legal process is the one that's been victimized. And I think if you're an XJW, you're victimized, absolutely, because you're shunned, you're discriminated, you're slandered. That's all not right. It's not good. And of course, we have that petition in Canada where we're trying to stop this. And we don't think charities should be discriminant like that. So, and we think that there's a lot of other people that think the same way. So this is what's happening. There's lots of victims coming out of the Jehovah's Witness religion. They're just leaving victims. They're just like war-torn. And we're finding that I had PTSD, complex PTSD. And my wife will come on and she said she may come on and do a chat about that. So thank you very much, Poof, for that donation. We really appreciate that. Let me see what the band says here, guys. Are you there? There you go, Poof. Love you, man. It really helps out. We're going to put that towards lighting, and it helps us creators out. My wife and I finally sold the farm, so we can keep doing this without donations. Like I said, we want you guys to help people too, and but we appreciate donations. We're not going to say no. It helps because YouTube doesn't pay us anything. I think last week I was able to buy a hamburger. We're thankful for everything. We do this for nothing, anyways. Quite honestly. So, but I want to talk a little bit about this being a survivor and being a victim, because it's so important in our mind with our journey. And we're on this journey and we're healing, and we're going to feel like a victim, and it's okay to get angry. It's okay to have lay in bed and think about these people at the Kingdom Hall, and it makes you mad. But don't blame them. It's Rutherford. It's just trance. We were all in it. We were all guilty at one time of doing something or other, shunning someone else. So we can have a certain amount of empathy, I think. And if we can walk out of the victim mode and start focusing on something else, and these channels will help. It'll help you to laugh. If you can laugh, that's very important. And we start the healing process. And sometimes we need to get a little bit of help. And if you'll notice in the descriptions of all our videos now, we're putting all the helplines for once you leave religion. There's these phone lines you can call, and they don't charge you anything. And they'll hook you up with different support groups, even XJW support groups. I can't say if they're all free. Some of them seem to want donations. So, but you'll have to just check it out in your own area. So now, we're moving forward, a victim or survival terminology from investigation. The term victim typically refers to someone who has recently experienced a sexual assault. Additionally, this word is commonly used when discussing a crime, or, in the criminal world. Victim. So, can we be a victim from being slandered and discriminated? Yes, absolutely. Now, I put a song in the link. The song, my good wife, I don't know if I should show you this picture. Most of our subscribers are guys, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, here it is. I'm going to have to go down here and show you this picture right here. I'll take the topic off there. There you go. Now, this song is called Destiny's Child. I actually... Destiny's Child Survivor. It's called Survivor. And so I put the link in. And it's mostly about leaving a marriage. And I thought it was interesting. When you leave a marriage, it's similar to leaving the religion. You're leaving... you're married to that religion. You're leaving a marriage. That's how serious it is. And that's what the song is about. Now, I can't play the song because YouTube has rules where if we play other people's music, that's where we get strikes against a live account. So the best I can do is put the link in. You guys have smart devices. You can play it. And when you're playing it, think about the words. Here I think she put a lot of thought into this, and it applies to the religion. I thought I couldn't breathe without you. We think we can't breathe without the watchtower. Because we're programmed that way. We're programmed that it's the watchtower, the organization, the truth. So we get out of it, and we're still breathing. That's what she says. I'm still inhaling. You thought you couldn't see without you. We thought we couldn't see the true light. We can't see the light. Well, the watchtower is afraid that we would see the light because now we have perfect vision, just like the song says. You thought I couldn't last without you, but I'm still here. It's 12 years later. I'm having fun with life. A lot more fun than when I was in the watchtower. You thought that I would die without you. Well, they tell us that we're going to die without them, but we're still living. Thought that I would fail without you, but I'm on top. I'm doing okay. I didn't fail. Thought I would be over by now. No, I didn't stop. So it goes on. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to work harder. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to give up. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to work harder. So it goes on to repeat those verses. So that's what it is. It's a lot of work to be a survivor. It's not easy. There's a debriefing. We have to come out of the religion and we have to debrief ourselves. And that's when we start seeing clear. Our vision starts clearing up. And I think it's good that we do that. That we look around. On this channel, we're not going to tell you or promote any one religion, because a religion is a belief, and really all the belief is that you help people. The belief is love. And if we look at James 1:27, it says the religion is to help orphans and widows, the afflicted. That's really what the belief is. So you can't make money off those kinds of beliefs, and that's why the religions came along and they made ways of making money. Now, one thing I was thinking about, if you think about the Jehovah's Witness religion, they had to build all these books. So Russell wrote something like 27 books when he started. And then Rutherford comes along, and he by 1925, he came along after Russell died in 1916. And 1917, 1918, he's dealing with all the gold mine stuff that's kind of under the skirt. And when he opened Russell's safe, or was it Rutherford's safe, there was $2.3 million in that safe. There was a lot of money kicking around. And Russell wouldn't give a cent to Marie, his wife. He fought her right till his death. And then Rutherford finally paid her out a bit to get her off his back. But it's an interesting organization once you start unveiling the real truth and looking at the founders and realizing these were just men. They weren't special people at all. So the point that we have to look at from this experience is that the Jehovah's Witnesses have all these books to explain the one book, the Bible. We've got this one book, the Holy Bible, and Jesus says you didn't even need a Bible. He didn't say to write a Bible. He didn't say to read a Bible. Jesus says just to love your neighbor. Jesus didn't tell us that we needed all these books. Paul came along and wrote something like 17 books. He was like a Rutherford and a Russell. In a sense, he started writing books upon Jesus. So then Russell came and wrote books upon Jesus and Jehovah. And then Rutherford took it to the next level. Jehovah, we're going to make this all about Jehovah. And he wrote a whole pile of books. And by the time Rutherford was done, 400 million pages of his writings, 37 books, 400 million pages have been spread all over the earth. He was a powerful, powerful leader. And so the Jehovah's Witnesses say, well, it must be from God. It must be from God. Look at how it spread. But Hitler was powerful. You see, the Hitler regime, the Nazi regime, must be from God. It must be the truth. Look at how we're expanding. Look at how we're taking over the world. So you see, this is a false concept. And we read that scripture in the beginning that the wisdom of men is foolish. The wisdom of men. So the Watchtower has all this wisdom. Abstain from blood transfusions is not in the Bible. All this wisdom, nor brought this in. Wasn't brought in by Jesus or anybody. So we have to really look at all of the books and the information that the Watchtower uses to control. Now, I got thinking about the Mormons. How many books do they use? The Mormons use the Bible, the King James Version, which is a more accurate version. I'm not pushing the Mormon religion at all. It's just another cult. But I'm using these two as comparisons because they're kind of close. They both kind of have a door-to-door program. Different. And I do know a lot about the Mormons because I worked with them and dated them and went even to the Mormon church a couple of times. But they use the King James Bible, and then they have this other book called the Book of Mormon. This guy wrote it. He came around before Russell. He was in 1840. What was his name? Joseph Smith. And the angel Yamori gave him the golden tablets. He never seen him, or someone. It's quite the story, quite the fictional story to me, but it sold good, went big time. A lot of Mormons, but they use the Bible and the Book of Mormon. But you join the Watchtower, they have the Bible. Now, this Bible's no good. King James is no good, so now we brought you into this Bible. Well, the 1984 edition's no good because it has the last bit of John there. We don't like that. So we brought this 2013 edition. 10% less scriptures. Saves paper, saves trees. And it supports our doctrine. So here we have a Jehovah's Witness Bible, but you need all the Watchtower and the Awakes. And you notice they have a mini, there's a mini Watchtower Awake magazine going on. There's a mini Live Forever book, I noticed. Right in the beginning. Where is it? I was going through this, and it's like a mini Live Forever book. Right in the beginning. How can you cope with anxiety? How can you find happiness? What does the Bible say about work? How can you manage your assets? What hope do we have for the dead? I don't even need to read the Bible. I just need to read these first few pages. What does the Bible promise? There it is. What does the Bible promise for the future? That's all I need to read. Can you see that? It's a mini Live Forever book going on in the front of this Bible. Like, I don't even need the Bible. And they, even at that, they put this little mini book in the front, this little mini study book, and now there's 10% less scriptures. And it shows where you find all the stuff, and it's all in the Old Testament. It's the only way you can support that jigsaw puzzle of the paradise earth. Jesus never spoke about it, never talked about it. And he talked about his paradise being up in heaven. So it's interesting. We can laugh about it. And that's what we have to do. We have to get out of the religion. We have to clear our mind, debrief. And we have to realize that the Watchtower uses a whole pile of books, bound volumes after bound volumes, to support their theology, which the King James Bible is fine. in the Books of Mormon, they use that. I don't know what the Seventh-day Adventists use. My wife comes from a Catholic. She was Catholic. And they just use the Bible, she said. She said they don't have any other books, just the Bible. And they talk more about Jesus. They give Jesus way more honor. So the Jehovah's Witnesses seem to just talk a lot about Jehovah. They talk about Jesus a bit at memorial, but not like other religions talk about Jesus. So we're going to move on here. JW Survivors Originals. We have, I don't know how much time we have here. 9, 10. This is something I found, a JW Survivors Original, Truth, Freedom, and Justice. It's the first time I've seen this. And JWSO is a social services community which focuses on post-cult recovery via supportive services and programs. Want to share your story? Contact us. Have you ever seen this before? Anybody out there want to comment on this? It says, welcome, we have received a report of a copycat scammer. So, I don't know what that's about. But anyways, they have this JW Survivor Original. I've used that picture. I didn't know they made it. So that looks like their picture. Let's just look at some of these pictures. Right behind me there. You can see them. So, kind of shows a little bit about their site. These are all survivors, all ages, Now, I want to go back to this one. You're a survivor, you come out of the Jehovah's Witness religion, and you want to, oh yeah, that's my JW Night Talk that's on there. Where is that? Right there. There. But maybe you want to go to college. I want to go back there. This guy looks like he's going to college. I don't know, going to university. Maybe finally you get out of there, you're younger and you want to do something. Go do it. Go be a lawyer. We need more lawyers on the outside. Go be a doctor. Those are some things you could try. Whatever you want. So this looks like a neat site. The Real Truth, Cults and Religious Trauma. We appreciate your feedback. Please send us an email. Thank you for reading. There's posts, activism support, overcoming barriers. What I like about this site is it is JW Survivors. This is really us. It's tailored for us. So it talks about us here. Whoever made the site, it gives some pictures. JWSO is a free social service resource guide, and we do not accept donations. Isn't that nice? They don't even want donations. So there's one, jwsurvivorsoriginal.com. So I encourage everyone to take a look at that. If you need a link, I could give you a link. Now, ex-Jehovah's Witness reveals secrets of religious group. The treatment of women, child abuse, and how to prevent being visited by followers of the religion are among topics of confronted by ex-members. This looks like an assembly, big assembly, circuit assembly, maybe district assembly. Now, there's a few people online. How big are the district assemblies you're used to going to? I was talking to my good wife here. We had this talk today. Oh yeah, I got to tell you this. So we're sitting here. Last week we had sound problems. So we're sitting here just 5 minutes before, and she says, hopefully you have no problems, knock on wood. And I said, Jehovah's Witnesses don't do that. They think that that's demonized, knock on wood. I don't know. What do you guys think? So my wife sat there, and she's a pretty smart cookie. And she says, well, it's just an old saying. It goes back to when they had ships. You'd always take your cane and knock on the wood to see if it's going to break through, if you're going to make it on that ship. Or before you take a stair, knock on the wood to see if it's rotten before you step and fall to your death. Like it's an old saying. And Jehovah's Witnesses demonize everything. They demonize everything, and it's crazy. And we have this stuff in our minds. And you know what I recommend? If you're not married, marry a Catholic. They'll balance you out. Serious. An ex-Catholic, not a Catholic. Marry an ex-Catholic. Someone outside of religion. And it mixes things up a bit. Don't be afraid to spray it out a bit. Because debrief first, though. Don't get married before you debrief. It's ugly. Okay, so this looks like an assembly. I get off topic. A former Jehovah's Witness had offered a rare insight into the religious group, describing it as a cult that tries to control emotions, thoughts, information, and behaviors of a person. The man, who did not want to be formally identified, shared his experience of growing up as a Jehovah's Witness in Poland in an Ask Me Anything post on Reddit. You see, a lot of people don't want to be identified, and we recognize that, and we're okay with it. There's ways of calling in, and I don't know how to do this, but probably we can. I think you can do that at your end, where you can make your voice sound different, even, because voices do have fingerprints too. So the man who did not want to be formally identified, he shared his experience. So here it is. Using the username OhMyJW, the former Jehovah's Witness, JW elder, speaks out against the group's rules, such as prohibiting blood transfusion, even if that cost them their life, or believing the world will end in Armageddon very soon. However, he said he tried to never give an impression that the JWs are dumb or intelligent. He never gave an impression that JWs are dumb or intelligent. So he never gave any impression. Adding that many of them are actually quite intelligent, albeit deluded people. So quite intelligent but deluded. And I would agree with that. Lots of intelligent Jehovah's Witnesses, but we have become deluded with that Rutherford trance we all got sucked into, or some of you has gotten raised into it, and I feel sorry for you that you got this inculcated into you from birth. That's too bad. But if you're out now, you're watching this program, that's good. You're out. It's a pass. So now we're looking back. So this guy, he says he also described how his family now refused to acknowledge him and his wife after they left the group. So that's typical. And you're an outcast now. So those who leave the faith are called apostates. Welcome to the club. And are disfellowship, a term for formal expulsion and shunning, where members are prohibited from talking and even from saying hello to them, according to OhMyJW. In one situation where an elder started to lose his faith and challenged the group, he said they allegedly denounced him and spread gossip about him, pressuring him so much he jumped into a river and killed himself. Can you believe that? And that's what peer pressure does. I'm so glad that these articles come out, because people have to hear this stuff. Like, I think the governments need to hear this stuff. The peer pressure is so strong, it's so hard on the kids. I feel so sorry for the kids at Christmas time, at Easter. They can't have an Easter bunny or paint an Easter bunny in school, or it's just terrible. Now, in one situation where an elder started, he killed himself. When asked how women were regarded in the JW society, the former elder said they were thought as a compliment for a man. Like, they're thought as like a tool, a compliment for a man. That's how they viewed women. That's what he was told. Adding, she should be submissive to her husband, who is the head of her family, and it is he who makes all the important decisions. Women cannot teach in the congregation, they cannot deliver public talks or say public prayers. And when they conduct a private Bible study or say a prayer with another person while a man's around, she has to wear a scarf on her head as a sign of being submissive. Excuse me, sorry about that. This makes me think of Jesus, and Jesus, he surrounded himself with women, and he spoke so highly of that prostitute that went to his feet and washed his feet with oil, with that very expensive oil, and used her hair to dry his feet. And Jesus got accused of having a prostitute there, and Jesus set that guy straight. I forget the name, the whole account. I read it in another story. But he set the guy straight, and he says, I came in here, you did nothing, you didn't, see, in them days, they walked on their feet. Their feet were their tires of their car. and they get all cracked and bleeding and chapped and sunburned. And if you had oil on your feet, that was like luxurious. And here this prostitute gave her oil, and she's probably good looking. She's not a prostitute. They don't call them prostitutes if they're not good looking. And that's what she was. She came in, but she followed Jesus around, and she knew, but Jesus recognized the women. Never, ever. And he, in fact, put her above the men in that particular instant. Because he told the men, you did nothing to help me, but yet this woman gave everything. So, women cannot teach in the congregation. All these things have to go away, and it's these kinds of articles that help them to go away. It's nothing that we are going to get excited about. We know that religion is the horse and buggy days. That's what I've been telling everyone. That's how I see it. 70% of people don't go to church. You know, even if you're a Catholic and all of those good things, they don't go to church. No one goes to church. We have all these churches throwing carbon out there, costing money to run them, and it takes donations to keep those priests and all the people going, and kingdom halls going, and lights on, and they're not even paying taxes for the land, but it still costs money. So we don't need that anymore. It's a thing of the past. So now this moves us forward. Escaping Jehovah's Witnesses inside the dangerous world of Jehovah's Witnesses. I don't know if you've seen this video. We watched a little bit of this another night, and I'm just going to play a bit. It's the ABC. It's an Australian public broadcast service.
Having anybody in your life, talking to anyone, everyone being completely removed from your life that you've ever known.
Now, do you guys know this? You've probably seen this lady. This lady is Brandy Schmiedel. Brandy Schmiedel. Stephen Lett's niece or something. Niece, I believe. So she's just talking because her brother committed suicide. And Stephen Lett then gave a talk and a really bad talk. I'll let Brandy explain.
American Brandy Schmiedel, who lives in Colorado, is the niece of governing body member Stephen Lett. She shunned her brother Stephen Camp when he came out as gay.
I knew his family meant the world to him. It was one of the most important things to Stephen. For him to be faced with this decision was probably one of the biggest things he was ever going to have to face.
After 5 agonising years, Brandy privately resumed contact with her brother, but the rest of the family continued to shun him. In 2020, he committed suicide, leaving these instructions for his funeral. Things I don't want. The mention of religion or JWs talked about upon my passing. They were the source of where this all began.
It was one of the most important things in his life was his family and his friends, and he lost both.
Soon after Stephen's death, his uncle, Stephen Lett, gave this address about the impending apocalypse.
There will be many others who will come back, who will have to abandon their former way of life. I was thinking, as an example, a homosexual. Now, this former homosexual comes back in the resurrection, and he really thought, and he was taught, and he came to believe that God accepted him with that lifestyle. But now he's going to learn about Jehovah's moral standards.
It was extraordinarily insensitive, especially this is just a few months after my brother had died. It did give me the courage to speak out about this because this needs to end, because it is hurting way too many people. I have had hundreds, if not thousands, of people reach out to me saying that they have experienced almost the exact same thing that Stephen has gone through, or they know someone that has, and the vast majority of them have either attempted or they know that someone has killed themselves for the same reasons.
The closed world of the Jehovah's Witnesses was exposed in 2015 by the Australian.
So we all know the Australian Commission, but I thought Brandy's story was such a good one for an individual really speaking out and really bringing to light how the Watchtower is really hurting a lot of people to the point that people are taking their lives. And so that's what we want to help with is before people get feeling too anxious, too distressed. There's helplines out there. There's professionals. Even on this channel, if you want to talk about how you're feeling, that feels good sometimes. And it can be done in private, and it can be we can build these videos so they're cut and pasted together, so that if you cough or whatever, it's not out there. A lot of people worry about all these little things, but I don't. But anyways, that was a really good testimonial. This was the Australian ABC News in depth that carried this, and again we can put links if you need on this. So that brings our program to a close. If you haven't seen this, tell us your stories. If you're a survivor, the Survivor series. Now I'm gonna take you back to my store here. My good wife did this. If you haven't seen this yet, you just go to my site, you go to store, and now you can get all kinds of neat things. You can just hit any of the items there, and it takes you in where you can see women's, men's, other products, all products, stickers, accessories. There's so many things. There's even stuff on teddy bears. So cups, mugs, shirts. So take a look at it, guys. I'm very proud of what my good wife says. Now, the reason I'm showing you this again, only 6 days left, get 15% off. That's how YouTube does it for all the creators that bring their channel. And when you get your channel to a certain point, there's a certain amount of time, and then they allow you this, and they allow us to do this. So it's kind of cool. I didn't realize that, but they give a little bit of a deal here, so it's all their deal on YouTube, and we make a few points off it. This helps my good wife. So and there's some neat items here, so take a look at it. But anyways, what else do we want to say today? I hope you enjoyed the program. I'm gonna pull back this studio here. Just hold on here, and there we go. No, right here. Topic. We'll put the topic back on, and we will also put JW Night Talk back up there. There we go. So this brings our program to a close here this evening, and I don't know. You think we could get my good wife out to dance one more time? I don't know. She did a pretty good job of that, I thought. But it's just the way the studio comes in. She has to turn the music up in a bit here, so we'll try it again. I don't know. Would you like to try that again? Okay, here. I think she said okay. I'll put the music on. Let's try it here. Thank you. Well, that brings our evening to a close, friends. So I hope you enjoyed the program this evening. So you think about that. Are you a victim or are you a survivor? It does change who we are inside. But either way, it's all good. You're out of the watchtower, or at least mentally. You might be kind of in there, Pimo, but that's okay. You know, the day comes. I think these guys, they just keep doing that. I better tell them we're done for this evening. Thanks, guys. Okay. So, but when we think of the Watchtower, and if you're in the organization, I think there's going to be a time when PMOs are going to leave as groups. And you'll get 10, 12 leaving at a time, just flooding out of Kingdom Halls. And I think that's where we're coming to. And a lot more will be flooding to these channels. So if you're online, share our channel. We would appreciate it. It always helps, and it helps us as creators. And if you have some items that you'd like us to share on our lives, send it in, and my good wife will take a look at it, and then maybe we'll share that next time. So, folks, until next time, keep living your life with love. Bye for now. Get a little bit.
Well, like an eagle, I'm not scared to spread my wings without a care.
So that's the end of the program. We'll see you next Tuesday night. Bye for now.